So you come here for the first time you row, and in the first season you're here at Michigan, you break the all-time record.
Yeah. So that's a good
90s.
story. So yeah, the rowing, if you don't know, it's fall, winter, spring, and then summer you're supposed to work on your own. It's an all year thing. So I come into the first fall season, get on the water, and obviously my rowing form was terrible. I had no idea what I was doing. I'm brand new to the sport. And we go inside into the winter season, and this was just the time where, like, you got to put the watts down. Your form doesn't really matter. What matters is, can you put the watts on the machine? And I think my football experience gave me a lot of, like, that lifting background. So I was always a bigger guy. So they sort of just put me on the machine and put me on a serious training schedule, and I stuck to it. I ate well, and I managed to beat 2 records in like 6 or 7 months at the University of Michigan here, the 2K and the 6K.
Do you know who held the record before you have the record now? I mean,
first of all, I know one of them. One of the guys' name was Mitch Tyson. He was I actually haven't met him, but this is actually a funny story. So when I broke the records, I actually know both of them. The other one was named Bill Schnittman.
So you met them?
Oh, I haven't met them.
Okay.
Bill Schnitt. A crazy story about Bill Schnittman. There's a boat named after him actually in our boathouse, and he was I'm not sure quite the year he rowed, but he was like murdered by his ex. Crazy, murdered by his ex-wife or something like that, or no. I think they had a divorce or like okay. Here's the story, right? I think. He had a girlfriend at this point.
How old is he? Do you know? Is it
I don't know.
graduate?
I don't know. This is postgraduate though, definitely.
Right.
Had a girlfriend at the time, and that girlfriend just broke up with like a pretty like abusive or like bad relationship, and out of jealousy, the man murdered him. So crazy story.
Man, as in like
the ex-boyfriend of the girl that Bill was dating. Yeah, so it's a crazy story. Listen, I don't quite know all the details there.
Yeah.
I was kind of surprised. I remember the moment I took his record, I got like a coach went up to me. He's like, this is a huge deal. You've taken out the Schnittman. I'm like, I have no idea who this guy is. Well, yeah.
Wow, man. So you said that when you first started rowing, obviously you have work ethic experience through playing sports in high school, and you can have an idea of like sports, how they work, and what it means to be an athlete. Your rowing form was shit as you described it, but I'm sure that if you have the caliber or skill level to break a world record in your first season, you probably might have noticed from the beginning that although your form is shit, maybe you're better than people around you at certain other things. Like you probably did some ergs in the fall as well, and wait, I'm kind of good at this. Like when did you start to realize that I'm actually kind of good at rowing?
So I guess like in terms of like my technical progression, it's pretty average, maybe slightly above average because I've been putting in a lot of hours, a lot of time. Especially in the summer, I went to Buffalo and rode there for a while. But
New York?
Yeah. Because my cousin actually rode in the Worlds, so she's very, very, amazing. Very good rower, and she coaches at Westside Rowing Club out in Buffalo.
What team was she on? U.S. or?
A U.S. team, yeah.
Nice.
U.S. team for Worlds.
Our team is pretty good. Our U.S. team, right?
Yeah, it's pretty good. We won the gold in the fours. So and that's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Like it takes serious. I mean, there's some definitely serious competition out there. But yeah, when did I realize I was a good rower? I guess to answer that question, I don't think I've ever realized I was like a good technical rower, because to be honest, I'm not there yet. Like it takes so many years. Rowing is not you figure it out in 2 weeks type of sport. It takes years and years of refining the craft, the perfect stroke, the perfect catch, the perfect drive. Like each of these elements that a rower has to do to put the blade in, take the blade out, feather the blade, all these very technical elements, I have not mastered at all. I think the moment I realized I had potential to be good at rowing was when I broke the 6K record.
So it kind of happened out of nowhere.
It was out of nowhere. It was definitely out of nowhere. It was just one day I was just like, you're pulling a 6K test. That was the training plan. And I actually hit squat like 2 days before because I'm like, who cares? It's just a 6K test. And all of a sudden, the day, like 2 days before, yeah, huge squat. And I'm like, who cares? And I just hit the workout, and all of a sudden, like, I was like, oh my God, I was holding someone's name, and like, it was definitely really interesting. I'll tell you that. So yeah, I don't know though. Maybe eventually I'll go. Like, it depends on how things are. I have an injured back, so from a herniated disc from deadlifting in winter of senior year.
That's rough.
So we'll see how it goes from there, and maybe, like you'll see me at the Olympics someday.
I'd love to, man.
That would be sweet. That would be
best. I look at the TV. I see BJ Rosen. Amazing, man. So you have the 6K, just general training. You're not trying to break any world records. You squatted the previous day. It's kind of doing general training, and you have your time. When did you first realize that you just broke a world record? Like, did you tell someone?
It wasn't a world record.
Oh, no, sorry, Michigan record. Misspoke. Yeah.
Yeah, I sort of knew it right away because you pull the split on the machine erg, and it sort of says like a time, right? And you just compare to there's a big like board of like records, and so you sort of just look at that the board and look at your time, and you're like, oh my God, I did it. I didn't realize I did it actually until like a little after I pulled it, because people were like watching me because they were like seeing I was close to beating it. So all the coxswains are the people who are they steer the boat generally, and they make like calls, but they also like will help you erg, will help your technique. So they were all watching me because they're like, oh my God, this guy's gonna do it, and I didn't really realize it, right? I was just pulling. When you're on a 6K test, I guess if you've ever watched rowing, it looks so fluent, so like pretty, but it's not. When you're on an erg or in the water, you are in so much physical pain because your body just wants to quit, but your mind just has to tell you, keep going, right? You have to get the next stroke, next one. So I really wasn't even seeing my split, my screen, my time when I was pulling the 6K test. It was just like, hang on, survive.
Wow. What were the first emotions that went through your mind when you saw that you broke it? Like, was there a sense of disbelief, or like, what was the first kind of when you realized that, I just did it?
It was like, I'm like, where can I go with this? Like, it wasn't like, obviously I was extremely happy, like, because I'm like, oh my God, but it was sort of like, I sort of didn't really know like what was going on. Like, okay, what does this mean? How competitive are these record boards? Like, a lot of questions were going through my head, but I think it made me realize that out of all the sports I've played, this one I'm like have a talent for. It's just more it comes naturally. So it made me think like, okay, well, if I did this in 4 to 6 months, imagine what I could do in 4 to 6 years. So I remember I immediately thought very long term, and thought like, okay, if I continue this training, continue this plan, continue working hard, there's this number, and it's called like in the time, basically the 2K test is like the main test, so it's the 2,000 meters, and the time to beat, at least for like if you want to be a serious heavyweight rower, is sub 6 minutes, and that's like if
for
you
what
hit,
distance again?
2,000 meters, the 2K. Gotcha. If you hit sub 6 minutes, that's like the I don't know, like breaking a 4:30 minute mile.
Wow.
Like that's like the holy, like you
what
are
do you have for
fast.
a 2K?
6:10.
Ooh.
So I'm 10 seconds away. I pulled that in my first year.
Do you know what the world record is for the 2K?
Yes, I do. It's a 5:35.
Oh my God.
Absolutely ridiculous. Once you get to these top levels, like it starts to become absolutely ridiculous.